All right, so we're going to dive into a pretty wild hypothetical story. It's a step-by-step look at how the leader of a sovereign nation could actually end up a prisoner on U.S. soil.
Okay, so picture this. It's Caracas, Venezuela's capital. The year is 2026, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning. The city is quiet, fast asleep, with absolutely no idea what is about to hit it.
And then, boom, everything goes black. And I mean everything. This isn't just a power outage. This is a highly sophisticated cyber attack on the entire grid. It's the very first move in a massive covert military operation.
Just seconds later, the sky erupts. You've got fighter jets screaming overhead, bombing the La Carlota airbase and the huge Fortuna military complex. At the exact same time, a silent war is being won. Electronic warfare has completely neutralized the Russian-made S-300 air defense systems that were supposed to be protecting the city.
Through all that smoke and chaos, attack helicopters come in low and fast. They're not just hitting random targets. No, they're heading straight for the heart of Fortuna, zeroing in on the main prize, the personal residence of President Nicolás Maduro.
Now this was anything but a blind assault. The level of intel they had was just staggering. The CIA, with help from a high-level mole, had apparently spent months building a complete profile. I mean, the assault team knew everything, from the building's floor plan right down to what he ate and even the status of his pets.
The speed and precision here are just incredible. The whole mission, from the first lights-out moment to capturing a head of state and then getting clear of Venezuelan airspace, the whole thing took less than 2 hours. Just think about that.
So in those final moments, Maduro and his life are caught completely by surprise. After a brief firefight, he makes this last-ditch run for his steel-doored safe room, but it's just too late. The elite troops get to him literally seconds before he can slam that door shut, and they corner him in his pajamas. The raid itself is the stunning ending, for sure, but it is not the beginning of the story. To really understand how we got to this point, how the successor to an anti-American revolutionary became the target of such an audacious capture, well, we need to go back.
To find the real answer, we have to rewind the clock. We've got to go back to the rise of Maduro's very charismatic and very controversial predecessor, Hugo Chavez.
You know, before Chavez, Venezuela was a country of total contradictions. It was sitting on the world's largest oil reserves, yet millions of its own people were living in extreme poverty, completely shut out from all that national wealth because of systemic corruption and inequality.
Chavez's journey to power is fascinating because it actually began with a failure. In 1992, his coup attempt was crushed. But then, when he went on TV to take full responsibility, his defiant speech just electrified the nation. All of a sudden, he wasn't a failed soldier. He was the voice of the forgotten. After a couple of years in prison, he went the Democratic route and won the presidency in a landslide.
And talk about good timing. As fate would have it, his was perfect. Just as Chavez launched his revolution, global oil prices went through the roof, handing him this massive windfall of cash to finance all his ambitious social programs.
He built clinics and housing, he tackled illiteracy, but there was a real dark side. To consolidate power, Chavez rewrote the Constitution, he took control of the courts and the media, and he nationalized huge chunks of the economy. He basically built a welfare state that was dangerously dependent on just one thing: oil. So then in 2013, Hugo Chavez died of cancer. And in his final, tearful speech, he asked the people to support his chosen successor, a former bus driver and his most loyal follower, Nicolás Maduro. And wow, the contrast between these two guys could not be more stark. Maduro had none of Chavez's natural charisma, none of that powerful connection with the masses. He was a party loyalist, an organizer. Really, his main qualification was just his unwavering loyalty. So he inherited Chavez's power, all right? But he also inherited that economic time bomb that came right along with it.
And this inheritance, it would turn out to be a curse. It triggered one of the absolute worst economic collapses in modern history, all in a country that wasn't even at war.
So, just as Maduro takes power, the oil boom ends. And as the money dried up, his government's only response was to just print more money. The result was catastrophic hyperinflation. It peaked in 2018 at an almost unimaginable 130,000%. I mean, just try to imagine that. Prices were doubling every few days. When an economy is in freefall like that, it triggers a human exodus. By 2025, 8 million Venezuelans, that's nearly a quarter of the entire population, had fled the country, most of them on foot, looking for refuge in neighboring countries. The human tragedy behind these numbers is just staggering. By 2021, an astonishing 95% of the population was living below the poverty line. People were literally starving, and hospitals had run out of the most basic medicines.
And Maduro's response? It wasn't economic reform. Instead, he blamed everything on U.S. conspiracies and so-called economic warfare. When people protested, they were met with brutal force. And when the opposition won control of the legislature in 2015, he simply used his Supreme Court to strip it of all its powers.
But here's the thing, Maduro's story about U.S. interference wasn't entirely a fabrication. Let's take a look at the escalating campaign of economic pressure that was, in fact, coming from the United States.
The U.S. progressively tightened the economic noose. It started with financial sanctions. Then it escalated to crippling penalties on Venezuela's oil industry, its economic lifeline. Then the pressure became personal in 2020 when the Department of Justice indicted Maduro for narco-terrorism and eventually put a $50 million bounty on his head.
And all of this, it sets the stage for the final act. After a fraudulent election in 2024 and the hypothetical return of Donald Trump to the White House in 2025, a secret plan was set in motion to just end the stalemate once and for all. Operation Absolute Will.
In the aftermath of the raid, Trump didn't just frame it as arresting a fugitive. No, he declared it was the dawn of a bold, aggressive new foreign policy. He called it the Dassendrow Doctrine, a blend of his own name and the historic Monroe Doctrine, explicitly tying U.S. military power to its economic dominance in the region.
And so this whole story of Maduro's capture, from the streets of Caracas all the way to a U.S. prison cell, leaves us with a really profound question. Was this a justified action to remove a dictator who's presiding over a humanitarian catastrophe, or was it a dangerous violation of national sovereignty that sets a really troubling new precedent for the world? That's the complex reality we're left to think about.